What's going on, guys? This is Mr. DeLorean here. Welcome back to a brand new video. And today what I want to do is talk about some new news we got regarding Spider-Man No Way Home and a description we got for a very big scene in the film. So in a recent sit down and talk Empire magazine had with the main man himself, Tom Holland, the article reads out what he could say is that the scene features his Peter Parker, Aunt May, and Happy Hogan along with a mystery fourth character. Tom Holland does say it's a fourth person sitting at a table having a conversation on what it's like to be a superhero, and it was amazing. The other day we watched the scene, my brother and I, and our jaws dropped to the floor. Now this does bring up the huge question, who is the fourth mystery character that's having a conversation with Happy Hogan, Aunt May, Peter about being a superhero? Now obviously this scene has to be something very big that possibly has a huge link to the story of the film or the next few Spider-Man films. Or a possible new Marvel project that involves some form of Spider-Man, or at least that's what I'm thinking. So let's go down a list on who this mystery fourth character could be. So the first one is the most obvious one that people have been pointing out as the most obvious one, which is Doctor Strange. So obviously to be throughout the trailer, the teaser trailer of the film, Doctor Strange does criticize Peter for obviously trying to live two different lives, and obviously that he's not being too good of a superhero. So it could be him in this scene with Happy, Peter, and Aunt May and everything, basically talking about the responsibilities that come with his powers and everything and being a superhero. The next person is the biggest ones, which is obviously Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Now obviously it does say there's only a fourth person in this scene, meaning that it might only be Tobey or Andrew. Now a lot of people are speculating that Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire's Spider-Mans will die, or one of them will die in the film. So it is most definitely possible that one of them can be having a conversation with Peter Parker or Tom Holland's Peter Parker. And obviously if it is Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, and in this sense I do hope it's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, because if they do talk about being a superhero in the scene, Tobey's Spider-Man can bring up this a conversation that he had with Uncle Ben and basically say the iconic line to Peter or Tom Holland's Peter Parker, basically say with great power comes great responsibility, which would just be an absolutely bombshell of a scene, and I think would be just absolutely awesome and do a massive amount of fan service and everything to people that are fans of Spider-Man in general and fans of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. So that will be really cool and everything. And like I said, I do highly think it's going to be Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man being at the table and everything, and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man might die throughout the film. But yeah, and keep in mind, take that with a massive grain of salt about the death, aspect and everything, and obviously the table aspect. But take it all with a massive grain of salt and everything. And these are just theories and speculations going around at the moment and everything, and none of it is absolutely confirmed at all. The next person could be Miles Morales, which is a lot a big name that people are theorizing. Now obviously in the Spider-Man games and everything, Miles Morales, he's becoming a new superhero, and he's I think bit by a spider. I haven't completely finished the games and everything. All I do know is that Peter and him do have their first interaction as superheroes. So Peter, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, can be possibly having a conversation with Miles Morales on the responsibilities of being a superhero, and that will lead us into a possible team up film between Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Miles Morales, or Miles Morales solo film that might slightly evolve Tom Holland's Peter Parker as Miles Morales is trying to learn his ways of being a Spider-Man or anything, or being a superhero, and Tom Holland's kind of helping him in the background. And if you think about it, kind of the Miles Morales video game, the Spider-Man Miles Morales video game. Although if they do put Miles Morales in this film and all of a sudden shove him in, now in the trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home, it does show Peter going through the homeless shelter and everything, or what it is from in the Spider-Man video game, where Peter does meet Miles Morales. But the only issue with them introducing him, and it's highly likely that they might or anything, or might nod to him, is the fact that they might end up pulling a Harry Osborn from the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and just shoving him in the film without ever introducing him in any past films, which is something that I won't be a fan of if they just shove him in without any development at all of Tom Holland's Spider-Man or anything, and Miles Morales' relationship together. What could happen in the film though is it's being highly theorized that based on the trailer of him running through the homeless shelter, is that he'll be fighting one of the villains and transporting through portals and I think fighting one of the villains. So Peter could save Miles Morales and everything, and possibly have a conversation with him after he helps him defeat a villain or something, one of the Sinister Six. So that's possible that they might become very quick friends throughout the episode, throughout the movie and everything, and do one very quick scene, and maybe they develop it really well throughout that one scene, and maybe he's a reoccurring character throughout the movie and everything, and then throughout the whole like I said, movie. So maybe maybe that's how they play it off, and that's how they don't make it seem like, you know, Miles Morales is just shoved into the film and hand-fisted in like, you know, like I said, Green Goblin or Harry Osborn was in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The last two characters are like, you know, kind of like, you know, ones that are very unlikely or the least likely in my opinion. And you might be thinking, what's more least likely than like, you know, between like, you know, Maguire and obviously Andrew Garfield? One of them can be, I think, Daredevil, Matt Murdock and everything. Now, I'm not sure why he would be showing up, like, you know, since obviously everyone will forget Peter, like, you know, Spider-Man or Peter Parker's Spider-Man and everything. So obviously, like, you know, Peter won't need Matt Murdock for a case to obviously, like, you know, defend him in court, unless maybe in the end of this movie, like, you know, they never end up reversing, like, you know, everyone's memory and everything. And he does need, like, you know, Matt Murdock in a fourth film and everything to help him defend himself, because it is being highly theorized that obviously that, like, you know, Daredevil will be making a return to Disney Plus and everything, that'll get his show back. And it has been theorized that, like, you know, Matt Murdock and, like, you know, Spider-Man will share a fourth Spider-Man film and everything, which yet again, that's just a theory going around or speculation going around at the moment. But that would be a really cool one, since I'm really getting into the Daredevil series on Netflix and everything, and it is a really good show and everything. I really do want to see more from Daredevil and him obviously meet Spider-Man eventually, which I feel would work better in a fourth film, since obviously, like, you know, there's already enough people being shoved into this film and everything that, like, I'm pretty sure they don't want sensory overload on this film and everything and too many people being in it. The last and final person is that people are speculating is Venom or Eddie Brock in Venom, because obviously they'll let there be carnage and everything post-credit scene about, like, you know, them finding out that, like, you know, Tom Holland or Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Now, this does make the least sense, since obviously, like, you know, Venom seemed like he wanted to kill or eat Spider-Man or anything, how he said, like, you know, that one, or I like him, which when he says I like him, it could have meant that he does actually like him and that he doesn't want to kill him, that he wants to team up with him. So that's definitely a possibility for, like, you know, Venom and Spider-Man to team up, but that's, like I said, very unlikely, since it seems like more so that they're going to be versing each other in a future movie, like, you know, soon. But those are all the suspected, like, you know, fourth mystery character, like, you know, candidates that I have for the Spider-Man No Way Home scene, and this very big scene that will be happening in Spider-Man No Way Home. And with the trailer being, like, you know, possibly around the corner, it does make sense that they are releasing all these, like, you know, new images, scene descriptions, and teasers towards, like, you know, things like I did mention in my previous video about, like, you know, the Empire, like, you know, magazine covers and everything, and there being possible nods to the other Spider-Man or other things happening in the Spider-Man No Way Home film. But now I'm gonna leave it all on you guys and everything. Make sure to comment down below who you guys do think this mystery fourth character is. Do you think it is any of the people that I did mention in this video and everything, like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Matt Murdock, Venom, Doctor Strange, Miles Morales? Or I guess the last minute throw-in theories, it could be Wanda, or if it's Doctor Strange, it could, like, you know, point towards something in, like, you know, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness and anything. It could point to something in there. But yeah, that was the video and everything today. I'll make sure to link this article down below in the description, so you guys go read the full, like, you know, interview and everything, and read this section over, and maybe, like, you know, develop some thoughts in your heads about, like, you know, who this fourth candidate or fourth character could be. But make sure to comment your, like, you know, theories or, like, you know, candidates down below and everything. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos on, like, you know, Spider-Man No Way Home, more updates, the trailer breakdown when that eventually comes out, theories, and a review when the film does eventually drop on December 17th. And yeah, it has been all from me and everything. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. See you guys later. Peace, my amigos, and peace out.